My name is Kenny Rogers. I'm a permanent resident of New York and I have a house in Falls Village. I was born in New York City and I lived there until third grade when I moved to New Jersey for 5 years, and when I started high school I went back to New York City. What happened was a real estate developer tore all our buildings down in New York, and we had a little summer place in New Jersey, and that was supposed to be temporary, but we wound up being there a lot longer than we expected.
So what was it like growing up in the city?
The city, I really went, well, when I left I was pretty young. I had like one good friend who lived on the next street, and that was pretty much my world, my friend and my parents, and the schools across the street, and there was a park at the end of the buildings. It was a very nice place, but I was really still too young to really appreciate how good it was. That's why the developer wanted that site, because it was such a good spot.
I understand you became a fireman.
Yes, I became a fireman when I was about 28.
So you went to school to become a firefighter?
No, they have an academy. They have their own academy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you take a test and they put you on a list, and when your number on the list comes up, they send you to the academy.
Is this something you always wanted to do as a child?
No, it was just, the test is very demanding physically, and I used to run a lot, and I was in good shape, and I scored well. So I was picked off the list. Sometimes the people on the end of the list do not get hired.
What was your high school years like?
High school is very academic. I went to a Catholic high school, and it was rigorous. If you went there, you really were prepared for college, because college was easier than high school. It was ironic, but that's the way it was.
You went to college?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to Lehman College in New York City.
Lehman?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I also went to law school in St. John's. That came later.
Because at one point you were thinking of becoming a lawyer?
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What changed your mind?
I was already a firefighter, and it was a big choice. Like, do I want to give that up for being a lawyer? I kind of liked the idea of having a pension when I retired. And if you're a lawyer, you can't depend on that. And then there were the hours I expected to work as a lawyer as opposed to being a fireman. And I didn't do so well in law school, so I thought maybe I could do both. Sort of, when I had time off, I could do some legal things, but what actually happened is I only did some things for family members.
You want to tell me about yourself?
Well, we came up here 2004, and I got married in my backyard back here. Well, that was a reception anyway. The marriage ceremony was actually in the meeting house at the end of Barnes Road. And then we walked down here, which is a quarter of a mile, and the reception was in the backyard.
Nice.
And I've had this house since then. It's now 2024. So yeah, so in April we have had it for 20 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you meet your wife?
I met her in New York City at a Halloween party.
At a Halloween party?
Yeah, yeah.
You were both dressed up in costumes?
Yes.
What
Yes.
were they?
I was sort of like a martial arts person, and she was dressed as a flapper. Yeah.
Yeah.
She looked really cute. After that, even before that, we were looking for houses. We started in New York and we drifted over to Connecticut because we didn't find anything we really wanted to buy. And when we got this house, I was so exasperated looking at houses, I really didn't care what state we're in, what the house looked like. I just wanted to get that ordeal over with.
So how did you happen to find Falls Road?
We had, my wife had a friend in Lakeville, and he liked the area. She also had another person, these people worked with her. Another person had a place that he used to rent, and that was in down by Cornwall. And so we started looking around the area because they liked the area. And that's how we wound up looking in Connecticut.
Yeah. Are you a volunteer?
No, I'm not. No, my wife does not want me to be a volunteer.
She's the one who volunteers.
She does not want it, no. She doesn't want me getting on ladders. She doesn't want me to do anything that's even remotely risky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way she is. She worries all the time about me. Calls several times a day.
But, so tell me about your firefighting career.
I worked in the same place the whole time. I did it for 22 years, and it was good until 9/11. Then things were not so good. But up until then, it was pretty nice. You know, you cook your meals. It was a nice area I worked in. You get used to putting out fires. Some of them get to be like routine, and it was good. It was a good job to have.
So, what happened on 9/11?
Well, 9/11. The story for me really starts the night before. It's the night before, we had more than one truck, and one truck was short a person, and my truck had an extra person. So somebody had to go to the other truck, and nobody wanted to do it. So I did it, and that was the night before. Now the following day, when the alarm came off, when the first plane struck the World Trade Center, I was still in that other truck. And the person who was going to replace me that day had already come in. And I remember I was putting on my boot, and I looked up and he was putting on his boot, and what he wanted to do was to go on that run. He wanted to do it, and so did I. But I thought, my truck's going to be sent too. It's just a matter of time. So I looked at him and I said, you take this one, and later I would go with my own crew. And that's what happened.
Engine 1 out, World Trade Center, 1060.
Then the next morning, a little while later, we put on a TV, a small TV we had, and we were watching the news, and I actually saw the plane hit when it hit on the television, and immediately the alarm went off to send my truck down there, and there were other trucks that we followed. We had like a little motorcade going, 3 fire trucks and a chief's car. And we should have been ahead of them. But someone had called the firehouse and told the driver to put his gear on a truck. He's going straight down there from home. So when we should have been already moving, he was still looking for the gear. All the gear looks the same. And it wasn't his. And there were 50 coats there and hats. And by the time he found it, we wound up behind the people who were north of us, which annoyed all of us. But there was nothing we could do about it. And then when we got down there, the traffic was extremely compliant. They were listening on the radios, on our car radios. Everyone was just getting out of the way. I never saw anything like it in over 20 years. When we got there, we all stepped off almost at the same time, but they were a step ahead of us because they stopped first. They stopped, and then the next truck stopped, and then the next truck stopped. And then they went to the command post, and the command post sent them in right away. But they told us, we're going to hook you up with the next unit. You go wait over there. And that's what we did. And tragically, the people in those trucks that were ahead of us, all of them except one died. They were killed that day. So that would have been us. If we had been ahead of them, we all would have died.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that at the time?
I took it well. The way I looked at it was, I'm alive. I have my hands, I have my feet, I have so much, and everybody, so many, had lost everything. So I took it well. There were people who did not take it well. They had survivor guilt. There was some suicides. Some people did not take it well. They couldn't cope with it mentally.
Engine 6 to the
Engine 6.
The world.
There was another thing too that happened. The person who took my place, he was in the building already because their truck went down long before we did. And when they left the building, they were told to evacuate. So they were going down the stairwell, and then they went into the lobby. And the crew that he was with, the other crew from my firehouse, they lost track of him. So they went back into the stairwell to find him, and he wasn't in the stairwell. He was already outside the building. They didn't know that because when you look at a bunch of fire helmets, if you look at them from the back, everything looks the same. They thought he was still in the building, and they went back into the stairwell, and the only people who survived the collapse were the people in the stairwell. So if he had not gone out first, or if I had not let him take my place, we would have been in a lobby, and all the people in the lobby died. Yeah, there were a lot of things that came between me and death that day. Some of them seemed so inconsequential, like letting him go instead of me that morning, going to his unit the night before when someone else could have done it. There were a lot of things, but the littlest things that day could mean life or death. And there were people had stories like that. Other people had stories too. You know, the slightest delay or anything that went awry, the slightest little thing that would have meant nothing on a different day meant a lot that day.
Ladder 11, engine 44, engine 22, engine 53.
The plane, you figure he's gonna make a maneuver, and they still got no bag.
Did you retire after that?
A year later, yeah, things really changed. Every morning there was a citywide radio announcing the names of new bodies that had been found when they were identified. And it was just a pall over the whole place. People would just go quiet. They'd be listening for the names of people they knew, and it was just bad. It was a bad time. And we had lost 2 trucks on 9/11. Well, actually, one of them didn't come back because they wouldn't let it come back. It was a truck that worked, and they kept it down there for months. They just kept refilling the gas, and it kept the truck running and running and running. The other truck was completely crushed, and my truck was damaged, but it was functional. But when all the crews came in, there were no trucks for them to use. So we had the chance to go down to ground zero, and I did that a lot. Some people did a lot of that. We were looking for people who followed us down, who didn't come back. Some people came down in cabs and cars, and this one particular trio, they went in a cab, and some woman couldn't walk, so one of the people took her somewhere, trying to find an ambulance. The other 2 people kept going, and those people died that day. They were very close to us. If they had seen us, they would have come over to us. But one of them tried to hide under a truck, and the other one, he didn't have anywhere to hide, and they died that day.
So sad.
Yeah, we didn't even know they were there until we got back to the firehouse. It was, I think I got back, I actually deliberately looked at the time when we got back to the firehouse. It was 20 after 10 at night when I got back, and we all looked like ghosts. We're all gray, you know, the gray dust. And we washed the fire truck before we brought it back because we didn't know what was in that dust. So we did it down by ground zero. We used another fire truck that pumped water, and we washed it down. And the next day, one of the guys told us, we washed it down the next morning too. You wouldn't believe all the stuff that came off that truck. So even though we washed it, it was so infiltrated with dust, it was still dirty.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it out all right.
Yeah, I was very lucky.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it was more than luck. I mean, I remember the one time I thought about all the things that day that kept me alive, and there were 5 of them. That's beyond luck. That's more than lucky. When the second tower came down, I was in a lot of trouble. I was behind the building, and there was a glass atrium, and I knew the glass was never going to hold that building. It was just going to crash through, and it created this vast wind, and my fire helmet flew off like a frisbee, as if, like, further than you could throw it. I really thought it was gone. I thought I'd never find it again. And that was it. This is what took off in the wind. You can feel the weight of this. It's heavy. And I was by a door at the rear of the building, and the wind was blowing through, and I was thinking about the glass, and I thought, I might die the death of 1,000 cuts right now, because there's nothing I could do. I heard things hitting the building behind me, but there was dust too. I couldn't see anything, so I couldn't really go there. The back of the building had a cantilevered shape, and I didn't think that was safe to go under. And then there was the wind, so I thought, well, I have 3 bad choices, so I'll pick one, because if I pick another one, it doubles my chances, and if I pick 3, that triples my chances of something really bad happening. So I stuck with the first one. I stuck with the door, And the wind died down, and I was okay.
Yeah.
And then immediately I went looking for the other people who were with me, and they were okay too. One of the bad things that day was the people who would come up to you and they would ask you, have you seen so-and-so? Have you seen so-and-so? And the answer was always no. Oh, there was another thing too. When we were in the area looking at the building, this is like one of the worst parts of that day. People started jumping, and we were looking at the building and they started coming, and I said to myself, they're going to ask us later how many people actually jumped. And I counted up to 19, and then it became pointless because there were so many jumping out then. And that was the west side of the building. On the north side of the building, someone told me later, it looked like a snowfall. There were so many people jumping out that side of the building.
Wow.
Yeah, when the people hit, they broke into pieces. Their bodies just were torn asunder.
Nothing can prepare you for something like that.
No, we did have high-rise fires, and there is a limit to how high the ladders can go, and we did see some fires like higher, but we never saw people coming out the windows like that. Never. That was, well, the time in the morning was a time when a lot of people were working, and it was a Tuesday. A lot of people, a lot of people did get out. Many people got out. And that's, I don't know if that's well known, but a lot of people in that building got out before it got to a point where they couldn't get out.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like if you were above a certain level in the building, if you were above where the plane hit, it was very difficult for you to get out because the stairwells no longer existed. You know, there was one that existed in the North Tower. The South Tower was, as the floors collapsed, it would clap as it hit the next floor. And then those two floors would hit the next floor, and then it would hit the next floor. And as it came all the way down, there were flames blowing out like a blowtorch out of every window in the building when the next floor was clapped.
Trees were destroyed, knocked down. It was unbelievable.
Everybody has their own story about that day. You know, this is just my story. People had all kinds of stories about that day, and many of them will never be told. Because they know, but they're not telling anybody about it unless someone actually asks them about it. And even then, a lot of people are reluctant to talk about it. It's just the memory of the day is unsettling. Like when they do all the TV specials around 9/11, I don't watch them. It just makes me feel bad. So I just don't watch it. It stirs up the feelings from that day. Well, thank you for this chance to tell my story. I really haven't told all these things to anybody ever before.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I have to think back and say, oh, I should have mentioned this and I should have mentioned that. I probably forgot to mention something or other. But yeah, I never really put so many things together at the same time.
Well, thank you, Ken.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Good.